Brandon, I've waited many years for you to ask me that. We listened to the 2019, at this point, 8 episode. That concluded season 1. I'm certain there's going to be a season 2, but I'm not sure when. Remi Malek starring Blackout, which is a narrative podcast regarding the very small town of Berlin, New Hampshire, and what happens to the town and its residents after a blackout strikes that appears to be nationwide. So, boys, I'm assuming everyone sitting at this table, including Brandon, who's furiously thumbing his phone, I'm assuming looking up how to safely autoerotically asphyxiate.
I was looking up the David Carradine system to make sure I don't do
that one.
Well, I know that they went bad for him.
Right.
Because a lot of people don't write about how they've been successful at it over the period of years.
That's the thing. We never know about the people who've been successful. Right.
Very few. Because here's the thing: is I want to be a celebrity. This is why I'm doing this podcast.
Sure.
This is my long road to be a celebrity.
Right.
Very long road. But
I feel like that's one of the things that you know about really great celebrities is that they love autoerotic asphyxiation.
A lot of them seem
to really dig it. And so I feel like it's either heroin or autoerotic asphyxiation.
Right.
We got to come up with some sort of a pithy autoerotic asphyxiation.
There's got to be, by the way, there has to be
E-E-A.
kind of I hate to say millennial because, of course, this probably started before then, but there does have to be a subculture slang for autoerotic asphyxiation.
There should be. Mm-hmm. We got to come up with it by the end of the show.
Like choke and poke.
You are
You're
a resident millennial. So.
I know, that's true. I'm as close as we're going to get.
Yeah.
I'll think about it and I'll come back to it. I was actually looking at Blackout so I can make sure that I have a reference point when we start discussing it, so I'm not just pulling it out of my brain. Because I listened on Monday, which was almost a week ago.
Sure.
I listened to all the episodes in one day.
Okay.
And so I just want to make sure that I'm able to talk with thorough and factual.
I will help you remember. By the way, guys,
Please.
I'm putting the lights back on. That was enough. I want to be able to see my notes clearly. I will help you remember the various folks. And
I appreciate
of course,
that.
as I've already mentioned, the stars, award-winning actor Remi Malek. I think that was the real attraction here. I mean, that was the big get for this. He's the only major name. I think I can say that with absolute confidence.
And he's a producer on the show, so it's clear that he's been a part of this in some way, shape, or form.
Sure.
It's not a musical, though.
It is not a musical in any way. I mean, I believe, and you two can throw in your 2 cents if you think I'm wrong, this is supposed to be a thriller, right? Kind of an action thriller, perhaps.
Yeah, absolutely.
Remi Malek plays Simon Itani. He is the DJ in this small town. Not entirely clear why he ended up there. Yeah, go on.
Not a house DJ. I just want to make sure it's clear. He's not like Pop and Molly.
He's not on ones and twos.
He's not going to empty
rolling
warehouses.
out of his brains.
No. He's not high off his mother loving tits.
He's not. He describes his position as a DJ at the only independent rock station in northern New Hampshire.
Right.
Certainly in the town of Berlin. Doug, I'm going to go to you first.
Okay.
What did you think of this? We've already talked about the fact that relatively recently you've listened to 2 seasons of a highly produced, Marvel-produced podcast. Those are the 2 Wolverines you listened to. What did you think of this?
I really enjoyed it. I'm actually, I guess I should have known, but I'm a little sad to find out that was the end of season 1.
Okay.
I was looking forward to a new episode next week, I guess, or this week. So I guess that's not going to happen.
Not for a while, but I'm sure it's going to be back.
So, I mean, I think there were definitely a few pitfalls in, some of the episodes, which that bothered me. But as a whole, I really enjoyed it.
Okay, tell me about what you liked and tell me about the things that didn't quite work for you.
So I think as a story, like if this was a movie, it's probably something I would watch. I watch a lot of movies like this. Kind of the independent, a little gritty, not super overproduced. I don't need, the flashy sound and all that stuff.
Right.
So I liked it. For the most part, I liked most of the character development. So my big issue, the woman who runs the general store, Madeline, who
played
becomes
by voice actor Valerie Spencer.
Okay, so that character and where her arc and what's going on. I mean, there were some things like the overall story actually kind of reminded me of what a podcast that Brandon had talked about listening to that scared the shit out of him, because of what could potentially happen. And I
Yes.
think, and just like a
It
modern
could
civil
happen
war,
here.
Yes.
or whatever. I mean that. So it had all of that, which was nice. I think there was a good overall story. I thought where the story was lacking was with the Madeline character. I think she came into power way too quick, and really for me, like I was really close to not wanting to listen to the rest of it during the episode about the trial,
Right.
which is pretty early on. I mean, that's like episode 4, I think.
4 or 5.
Yes,
Yeah.
correct.
And for that whole trial was so condensed, and to go, well, we're just going to kill this guy.
Right.
He killed somebody, so we're going to kill him. I run the general store. What I say goes. I mean, I was like, it was too far fetched,
Right.
for me, and the other parts of it, the fact that the other kid who shot somebody isn't on trial.
You mean who executed a U.S. airman?
Right. That kid, I mean, all of that stuff. It bothers me when there's
And
that
I should
type
say
of
right
leak.
now, Doug, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but this goes directly to what you're saying. We should probably let people know who may be listening to our episode to determine whether they want to dive into the commitment of listening to 8 episodes of Blackout, that we are going to be talking about it in great detail, and we may be spoiling it. So this is the one thing I'm going to ask both of you to do. I'm going to try to do it myself. Let us not talk about where everything ends up in the final episode. It goes without saying, there's no way we can talk about it without spoiling some things.
Right.
Yeah.
So Doug right now is talking about a few episodes in. Simon Atani, again, our Remi Malek portrayed protagonist, has a young son who we assume is about 17. He's in his last year of high school, who, as a result of the blackout, finds himself in the woods, camping with friends. They come across someone who seems to be kind of an outsider living off the grid, but who might be part of what we are learning is a cabal, that this power outage wasn't some natural event or due to a natural disaster, but was intended to kind of a Luddite conspiracy to bring the nation back into a pre-digital, pre-electronic time.
Yeah, I feel like we structured our review wrong. I think we should have probably prefaced all of this with the overall story and letting people know that there would be spoilers and we would be talking about the details. So sorry, folks.
Yeah, I mean, that is true. Although we're telling you what you will probably learn by reading the description on iTunes.
Right, that's true.
Yeah. But you're right, Brandon. Yeah. So, actually, I did say it's about what happens to town after they're thrown to a blackout
That's
that they
true.
learn is national.
That's true.
Yeah.
So then I would say.
So you know what? If at this point you agreed with Brandon, you thought we were spoiling it for you, and we hadn't sufficiently described what this podcast is about, go fuck yourself.
No, John.
Sorry, that was a little hard.
Get a
That was a
belt.
lot hard.
Sorry.
String
No,
yourself
not
up.
that either. Not that either.
Look. Let me be very clear about
But
this.
safely.
Right.
Maybe we just throw in post, do a little,
We can
spoiler
front-load
alert warning.
spoiler
Yeah,
alert.
we'll do a spoiler alert warning. But since we have talked clearly more than any of us intended to about autoerotic asphyxiation, both its benefits and
That's true.
its possible dangers, we're not saying on the show perform autoerotic asphyxiation. However, we're not saying to not do that either.
Right, you're an adult. You live in America,
Absolutely.
maybe, or hopefully a country that's free of some sort.
Right. Yeah, we hope wherever you're listening that among your basic freedoms, you have the freedom to choke yourself to near unconsciousness
yeah.
while masturbating.
Yes.
Safely.
For a heightened climax.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what they say?
Doug knows a lot about this.
Always do it safely. Do it with the spotter.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Have someone nearby.
Right.
Maybe a loved one, a family member.
Yeah.
Who
family
can run
member,
in and save you.
Maybe a loving grandparent.
As long as they can lift up to
You make sure they can lift your weight
60 pounds
and that
or
they're
so.
familiar with the buckle mechanism of the belt.
Yeah.
Anyway, Doug, what were
Right.
you saying?
Well, I was just saying, if Michael Hutchins had a spotter, he might still be here.
Great point.
Very true.
So we've lost so many greats because
many
of
We
it.
greats.
have.
Yeah.
Okay, so my kind of big criticism about the story was that he felt that deep desire to keep going back to the radio station to broadcast to no one,
Right.
as opposed to be with his family.
Right.
He's got a teenage son, a teenage daughter, and a wife, and yet leaves them all day long alone, and it just kept driving me crazy.
Well, Doug, I can say I quite literally share every one of your criticisms, and as a result, really disliked this. I know we clearly completely cross over on basically every criticism that you've directed at this podcast thus far. The difference is, ultimately, your experience was you did enjoy. There was enough good there that you liked. For me, this was you've referenced the tip of the iceberg of what I thought really failed about this narrative and the way it was presented, and then there was a hell of a lot more. But you've hit kind of all the big hits, the greatest hits of what was wrong with this. Tell me the things you liked. Which performed? What did you think of Remi Malek? I mean, this is a big deal that someone who's just in like the 5th largest grossing movie of the last year was also in a 8-episode podcast.
Yeah, I liked his performance. Again, I'm not crazy about the storyline for his character, but as far as his performance goes, I thought it was great. I really, as far as acting goes, my only big criticism was the character Maggie, whatever.
Madeline. Yeah, the general store.
The general store
/ coffee shop / mob boss of the town.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And the teenager, the one that shoots the airman.
Oh, Lincoln. All of them. Madeline, Lincoln.
Just a poor. They were just kind of like
so
really
bad.
Weak development as far as characters go.
Right.
So when I say all of that out loud, I'm a little surprised that I enjoyed it so much. But I did.
Me too, to be honest with you.
But I did, and I think I also am one of those people who can not like all that, but still enjoy the overall. I mean, I watch a lot of bad B movies, and still enjoy them, even though they're bad.
Well, this reminded me not just of movies that you like. This reminded me a hell of a lot of series you like, things like Jericho and stuff like that.
Oh yeah,
didn't this feel like that?
Oh yeah,
that it easily could have been that.
Yeah, but Jericho was good.
Oh, and I'm not talking about quality. I just mean that this subject matter felt very right for like a basic cable hour-long weekly
100%.
serial.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Now, did either of you watch Mr. Robot?
Sure.
So I was going to say, Mr. Robot is actually maybe my favorite television show.
So I made it through, I think, most of the first season, and then I was out.
I've watched every season, and I've watched the first season twice.
I don't even know how many seasons there
There's
are.
3 seasons right now. They're moving into their 4th, which will be coming out this year or the beginning of next.
Right.
And it'll be the end of the show. And so that the hard part for me, beyond just the poor quality of the show once it hits like the 4th or 5th episode, and I feel like it goes on a real nosedive from there, was that Remi Malek is so strongly tied for me as Elliot, the lead character of Mr. Robot that he plays. And the other thing is that I don't know why this bothered me so much, but the premise that this mush-mouthed weirdo would be a radio DJ that anyone would listen to was insane.
Well, during the segments of the show where we were supposed to be listening to his broadcasts, particularly in the first episode where none of these negative things have happened yet. It's pre-Blackout, and he's introducing songs. I thought he conceivably, again, this is a town of 10,000 people. There's probably 10,000 people within 800 feet of my house right now.
And that's true. Is that it's sort of slim
and I thought
pickings.
he sounded fine. I thought Remi Malek was great, by the way.
I just didn't know why he would be the one to choose to be in this role.
Sure.
I thought that this wasn't material that was particularly written well for him.
Okay.
Mainly because the thing that makes him so good as Elliot, and I think the thing that made him so good as Freddy, is that he's either super neutral, as he is for Mr. Robot, or he's playing someone else.
Right.
I think that when he's playing a character that doesn't have any background, he sort of gets lost a little bit. And I didn't like his performance, and I didn't like most of the performances on this show.
I'm going to be honest. I'm not sure I liked any performance other than Remi Malek's. And I'll also agree that I certainly didn't think he was the best choice for this, although I think he's great.
Right.
And I thought he did absolutely. He gave the most naturalistic performance of anyone.
Well, he didn't have to fight an accent, which was kind to him.
But nor did his wife, who appears to have also grown up there.
But I liked his wife and I liked his daughter.
I thought the daughter, Izzy, would be the character of his daughter.
Yeah.
I thought she was fine. She doesn't do a lot, but I thought she was good.
No, yeah, they were the ones
I did not think his wife was good. She goes real hot or cold.
That's true, and
no one in the family has an accent. They've lived there for, according to
15 years.
No, they've lived there for 19 years.
Right.
Their children were born there,
and have
while
no accents.
Everyone else now. to be fair to all our listeners, I have never in my life been within the borders of the state of New Hampshire.
Neither have I.
I do not truly know what a Berlin, New Hampshire, or any other